Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 say, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all ways acknowledge him, and he will make straight your paths." Spent the last 20-some years running away from him. I know now in retrospect, he was with me, calling me, and I just kept running and finally got tired. He outran me. Hi, my name's Larry. My wife Vanessa and I have been coming to CCLF for just about a year now. My journey probably started back when I was in grade 5. The Gideons came to school and they handed out these little red Bibles. And I remember after he spoke, going home on the school bus saying to myself, "Oh no, there's someone more powerful than my dad." And that's sort of my first memory. Didn't grow up in a Christian home per se. We would go to Christian weddings, Christian funerals, but there was always something else there, just couldn't pick up on it. Yeah, so moving forward, I graduated from high school, and my best friend got me to go to Christian Life Assembly in Langley, and I met Jesus there and gave my life to him, got baptized. It was great for a few months, and then I'll just say it was people that turned me away from the church, and I walked away from the Lord. 2017 came along, and my little sister got a bad cancer diagnosis. When I got that news, I remember driving home from the OSB plant, and I was just telling God off. Like, how could you do this to my sister, and those kinds of things. And in between that time, forest fires came. I live in 105, and we got hit pretty good. The day after the fire, the fellow I was staying with during the evacuation, he was able to get us back on our property. It was still burning in a few places. And so we went there and put out a few trees and this and that. And I remember Ivan saying, "Young fella," she says, "I'm not a God-fearing man, but I think the man upstairs was here for you." And I'm just like, "Come on, Ivan." It was a win. I mean, the fire stopped 25 feet from my house, perfectly straight line. My dad was in the prairies when my sister was going through chemo and stuff, and as well the fire, and so he had been put in the hospital because of just stress, basically. And again, Larry's mad at God. Now after my sister, not my dad, and so that all settled down. Still, there's no God. The fellow I work with had been off work for a long time because his son had been in an accident and ended up passing away, and he ended up back on the same crew as me, and our jobs are connected, so had to get to know him. And I remember first time I met him, I told him I was sorry for his loss, and he said to me, "Well, if it wasn't for the Lord, I wouldn't be sitting here right now." I remember walking out from that conversation. Remember, I'm saying I don't believe. "Oh, nice try, God. That was a good one." Right? Anyways, as our friendship went on, we talked. The Lord came up, and it was a funny situation because he never was preaching. He would just say a few words here and a few words there, and I would go away and stew on those things and come back and I said, "What you said yesterday, that actually makes some sense." And it just, it just snowballed. And then all of a sudden it was just like this light switch turned on, and all of a sudden I could see. And it was a big enough change that I remember my wife breaking down in tears because she didn't know what was going on, because it was so night and day from who I was to who I was becoming and wanted to be. Growing with my belief in the Lord, he's just done some pretty big things and some pretty small things, and I like to focus on the small things because to me those are more important than the big grandiose things that everybody is looking for. Just after we started coming to CCLF, and that's another thing that my friend at work, he doesn't come here, he goes to Hillside, and so it would have been a natural thing to go to Hillside, and there was never any doubt in my mind that I was supposed to come to this church. I'd never been here, didn't know anybody here, but it was where I was being called to go. And that just, to me, is just one of those great mysteries that the Lord provides us with. And I know why I'm here now. But so we're coming back to work after the Christmas shutdown, and part of my job is to get hog fuel burning for the furnace, which generates the energy in the plant at the OSB. And nothing I could do would make that furnace burn. It needed to get to at least 1100 degrees Fahrenheit, and it was stuck between 800 and 900 degrees. I was wiped out. I was done. I had nothing left in me. I even went to the supervisor and said, I'm finished, get somebody else. And I quickly reneged on that statement. I went back to the Energy Shack and was looking at the computer. And then I remembered Philippians 4, 6, and 7, where the Lord tells us not to be anxious about anything, but through prayer, supplication, and thanksgiving, make our requests known to Him. And His peace, which transcends all our understanding, will be given to us. And so I said that prayer to myself, and I'm sitting there in my chair, and I just happened to glance over at the computer monitor, and I watched it go 800, 900, 1100, 1300 degrees. I was just awestruck. And then this overwhelming sense of comfort and peace I still get goosebumps thinking about it, just overtook me. And then in the mill we have radio communication, and the control room operator called and said, I don't know what you did, but thank you. And I said, I didn't do nothing. And so, that moment on, that was it for me. I knew God was with me. I knew the scripture was His word, and His promises were real. Yeah, my sister survives cancer, no cancer. My dad's good. And then we roll into this year, 2019, and I get the news that the OSB is going to be indefinitely curtailed. Initially, I was like, they don't know what I'm talking about. This is the OSB. It's going to be the last place in the province to go down, not the first. Obviously, I was wrong. And I remember, just being totally at peace with it. It was just, I knew that the Lord wasn't gonna forsake me or leave me. This was just something that needed to be done. And it's been pretty amazing, because I see lots of people are in a lot of bad places with it, and I just having that, knowing that trust for God that He's never gonna do nothing that's gonna harm me. I'm still only human, and I do have days where I unravel. I let my worries and get the best of me, but in 1 Peter he tells us to throw our cares at Him, because He cares for us, and that gets me through it. Through my life when I was running away, in hindsight, I think of so many examples where I thought I was in control, and in certain situations that there was no way I was, because if He wouldn't have been there interceding for me, there's a good chance I may not even be sitting here now. And I thank Him every day for those things.